Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right, well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and today we are diving into a transformative confirmation about self-healing and empowerment. And this month, we are exploring the theme of the acts of balancing life and how it connects deeply with our journey to self-healing. Well, joining us is an incredible guest, Dr. Lynn Carey. She's a chiropractor and a nutrition expert who has dedicated her life to empowering others to achieve optimal health and wellness. But before we bring Dr. Lynn on, I'm going to take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back.
Exciting news, everyone! Nyomi Banks, your favorite transitional life and relationship coach and the inspiring host of the Season of Self-Love podcast, has just released another incredible resource for your personal growth journey, introducing her latest transformational ebook and workbook, Balancing Act, a guide to harmonizing your life. This 50-page guide is designed to help you navigate the complexities of life, bringing balance and harmony into your everyday experience, perfectly paired with our amazing new series for this month, The Act of Balancing Life. This workbook is packed with practical exercises, insightful prompts, and valuable tools to empower you on your path to self-discovery and fulfillment. Don't miss out on this opportunity to invest in yourself and enhance your journey toward a balanced life. Balancing Act is available now. Grab your copy today and step into a world of harmony and self-love.
Are you ready to embark on a journey toward harmony and balance? Join us for our exciting new challenge, the 21 Days Living Balance Challenge on the Season of Self-Love podcast. As part of our monthly series, The Act of Balancing Life, this challenge will guide you through daily practices designed to help you harmonize your mind, body, and spirit. Whether you're juggling work, relationships, or self-care, we're here to support you every step of the way. Don't wait, sign up now to take part in this transformative experience starting October 1st. Together, we'll build a community of balance seekers ready to embrace joy and self-discovery. Visit our website or click the link in our bio to join the challenge today. Let's find our balance together.
What are some common barriers that prevent people from expressing? Hey, it's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here from the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Yeah, I would say remorse. So shame and guilt is a very dividing emotional.
And these are one of the many amazing conversations that we have every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast with myself, Nyomi Banks, as well as our resident therapist, Dr. Will Washington of Washington Wellness Institute. Come by.
The reality of our relationships with people.
Come by.
And a lot of times we're afraid of how people look at us. And so that compassion can't enter.
You can hit us on the website,
really
the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Let me ask you this, with the truth, is it all right, well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and today we're talking about embracing power within, the key to healing yourself. And joining us is the incredible guest, Dr. Lynn Carey. Again, she's a chiropractor as well as a nutrition expert who has dedicated her life to empowering others to achieve the optimal health and wellness. Dr. Lynn, thank you for being here with us today.
Oh, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me, Nyomi.
Thank you. All right, so before we start, let's take a moment to center ourselves with a brief guided meditation. So wherever you can find a very comfortable position, close your eyes and just join us in this moment to just center ourselves.
Let's begin by taking a deep breath in through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth. As you continue to breathe slowly and deeply, I want you to visualize balancing in your life, like standing at the center of a seesaw, perfectly poised between your duties and desires. I want you to imagine a light radiating from your heart, expanding with each breath, developing you into a warm and peace. I want you to allow this light to remind you that you are connected to everything in your life with love and intention. Take one more deep breath in. Hold it for a moment. Now let it go. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes and bring your awareness back to this conversation.
All right, thank you. If you're just joining us here for the first time on the Season of Self-Love podcast, this is something that we do every day, Monday through Friday, but we kind of center ourselves before we get into the topic at hand, all right? Now, Dr. Lynn, your journey both has been inspiring and profound, so could you share with us what led you to the path of self-healing?
Yeah, so I mean, there's always been definitely something inside of me since I was a kid, questioning life, questioning what I was being shown, what normal life was, because I just
Yeah.
thought there had to be more. I didn't really see much happiness. Everybody was working hard, and I didn't see purpose. And when I was 14, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, which is curvature of the spine. And I found you're going through all those changes as a teenager anyway. And I just found like I lost the waistline. I had a bump in my back, and I showed my mom like something's weird here. I didn't have any pain I didn't feel anything except how it looked.
Yeah.
And so they diagnosed me with scoliosis. It was severe. And I just followed the straight medical route. I ended up having Harrington rod surgery on my spine at
Mm,
15. And after that, they said the surgery was a success, but it led me, I was sick. I was sick and in pain for many years after that, and no one had any answers for me.
mm,
So I was in college just trying to find myself because I was told you got to go to college to be successful. And I just was floundering. I was depressed, and someone told me to look into chiropractic as a profession. I didn't know what it was, but I read the pamphlet and it said the power that made the body heals the body. And I thought, why hasn't anybody said that to me through all these years? And it was like the first time I heard truth. I didn't know what that meant. I couldn't have verbally said that at the time, but
right.
it like resonated deeply. And I ended up just going to chiropractic school without even getting adjusted until I got there. But that was the beginning of, it wasn't overnight at all, but that was the beginning of my spiritual journey for sure.
Beautiful. So I heard you say my niece, she's also my goddaughter, she was just diagnosed, I believe at age 13. At age 13, she was a dancer, a great dancer, very flexible, everything. And now she's always in pain and in breaks all the time. For you, being that young at 15 years old, um, how did you find your I guess you want to say your strength. How did you find your strength just to get through the day? Because I know there's a lot from the pain and just being amongst your peers and not being able to do the same things that other people was able to do physically. How were you mentally and emotionally going through those stages at the age of 15?
God, I never had anybody. I makes me want to cry. Actually, I don't know because I think I was so suppressed. I've never had anybody ask me that. I don't know if I thought that. It was like a survival mode.
Mhm.
Um, I just was very depressed. And my father died when I was 12. So I know that
Mm,
was part of before the diagnosis too,
yeah.
because there is an emotional component to scoliosis. And I think this is kind of key. And I think people can correlate any disease label that they get to an emotional component. And I think this is a key to healing. But it said part of the emotional component for scoliosis is that you feel like you're pulled in two directions.
Yeah.
And that fit my life in so many ways, from me questioning what life was, to my mom telling me this is the way it is, but it didn't match up, to
Right.
my dad dying, but I just felt like he left me here in hell. Like, I was
Mm.
raised Catholic, so everybody talks about heaven being this utopia and this is what we all strive for. I'm like, well, he got to go and he left me here, and I really felt like we were in hell. So felt like I had one parent here on earth, one in heaven. So I felt pulled in two directions. So it wasn't that I was afraid of death either at the time, which was probably the gift of my father's death. I think a lot of people are afraid of dying, so they don't fully live. Um, I think it was just survival. Like, maybe there was an inner knowing that I had to get through this right now because there's going
Yeah.
to be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I just kind of kept hanging on for a light at the end of the tunnel. Even the times I had, like, I want to end it all, like I wanted suicidal thoughts. I think I was too afraid to do it. And I felt guilty about leaving my mom.
Mm.
So I just think it was hanging on. It's almost like an inner part of me knew it was my path. I think when I was younger, I knew one of my parents was going to die. So I think it was like I knew these were things I was going to go through
Yeah.
on some level, even though I couldn't consciously verbalize that.
Yeah. I just hearing you say that, and I heard you say emotional after your father passed away. I was just speaking to a young woman about a week ago, and we were talking about how our stressors and all of those things, where we can cause ourselves to become ill or sick from those emotional traumas that we have. And I'm glad that you said that. One thing that I do like is that once you got into college, you kind of realize what it was from just that one saying that was said to you. It kind of, lit turned on that light. And he was like, okay, let me, really get down and deep and see exactly what that is. For you going through that, um, it seems to me that even through chiropractic, are you taking a holistic approach to it as well?
Definitely. I think in the beginning it was mental, trying to understand this new philosophy that I was being told, but it was so simple. I find that truth is always simple. The main philosophy of chiropractic was that there is a life force that's always running your body. Because as we're sitting here, all our organs are working. We're not consciously controlling it. Like, there's something bigger going on. So you have to let it run its course. The body does what it has to do. It knows what it needs to do to get back to balance. It's always looking for healing and balance, making itself new. Just like gravity. Like, I remember the professor or the founder of our school, we would go to his philosophy sessions. It was like a class, 30 minutes a week, and he would drop the car keys on the podium and he'd say, what happens every time I drop the car keys? They're going to fall, right? Just
Mhm.
like the law of gravity, the same thing, how your body heals. I'm like, that makes sense. And I realized that it takes time to heal. Like, it
Yeah.
took time for me to get to this place. So, and I started getting the body work done, even though I wasn't feeling many changes. But there was a correlation to breaking up the energy of the body and breaking up my mindset with all this fear, like I'm sick, I have pain, I have all these problems, to, oh, I can heal. And it's making sense. So I lost the fear. But this was a 1 to 2 year process of just getting out of
Mhm.
that crisis mode of pain all the time or being sick all the time. And then at that point, I started connecting the dots that when I got symptomatic, it was my emotions.
Mm.
So it was just the grace of chiropractic was that it showed me that there was another way to look at life, right? There's another way to look at healing than what the medical world says. And that gave me the courage to question everything in life. I'm like, there's another way to look at everything in life because it's all affecting our well-being. So
Yeah. Why it just made me chill a little bit because I am in the process of going through this right now. Like some days I wake up and like very tired, like and don't know why I am very tired. Sometimes I have like I say that is premenopausal. That's what I say it is. But then, like you, I kind of like break it down. Well, why am I saying that it's premenopausal? What am I stressing about? what are my worries, so then I go into that and go to dial it down, from there to where days I have wonderful, beautiful days, and sometimes it's like, well, what happened? But just as you said, when it became like it was more of a systematic type of thing, then you want to, okay, hold on. This is we need to kind of bring this back a little bit and do this. It's so funny because just returned back to the season of self-love, right? And I remember doing this every day. And while I was doing it every day, I felt so good. And I took like a little, summer break with the kids for the summer. And I found myself missing just having the conversation about your self-healing, about, even though I meditate and pray every morning, it was a different thing when I'm sitting in my purpose and I'm speaking and I'm talking and I'm actually literally doing the work or the strategy of it. So when you said that about knowing that gives me, thank you. That just gives me a nice confirmation on what I have been thinking all along. Like, okay, girl, come on.
Can I just say, like, I'm still breaking down belief systems. Like, I just turned 50 this year, and I don't believe in ageism. Like, I really don't believe in disease. I don't believe in ageism. I mean, this is just a cultural belief system that we put on ourselves, that we have to grow old and feeble and that we have to have these symptoms. And I'm like, it's not true, because I believe we're meant to live vitally full and full of life until we decide to check out. It's a soul journey, but it's a very strong societal and cultural beliefs that we have to kind of face all the time and decide if we're going to choose to participate in that or not.
Yeah, that has been my challenge. It truly has. I lived most of my adult life in front of a camera. So my look and my age has always been very important. When I turned, it was 48. I would be 52. When I turned 48, that is when I started to truly embrace and understand that it was a gift to still be alive at this big age, but still when I go through, it's like, I don't look what I'm supposed to, they say I'm supposed to look at 52 years old. I don't feel emotionally like I'm supposed to feel when I'm 52 years old. But then I say, Bobby, what are you doing? Say everything else.
Right.
Right. So it's like, what do we do then? Do you know any techniques from there that can actually help us to change that mindset?
I think it's just the moment. I think you just, when you're catching yourself thinking that way, say, just change the thought, change the perspective. I think it's a moment to moment practice, but that's with everything. Like, I'm realizing now, I can meditate, I can eat right, I can do all these things, but it's about, how do I feel in the moment? How is my perspective of what I'm going through in life in the moment? Am I feeling good about it, or am I feeling stressed? And you can change it. That's the mastery.
Yeah.
And when you change it to live in the flow and learn to surrender more and let go and take inspired action instead of efforting and forcing, and right, and trying to think, no, you think we have to figure it all out, but sometimes surrender to the guidance that you're going to get. That's when life becomes magical. That's when synchronicities happen. That's when you don't have the stress that you're going to put on your body where you age. You know what it's like? That's a
Yeah.
whole shift.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Okay, let's go somewhere else, because I want to talk, because I read that you have a son. And we're speaking on balance right now. So for you, how do you manage to instill the values in your son? As you know, you didn't have those. How would you be able to instill them with him when approaching with parenting?
It's funny. He's been such a blessing in my life, because I did not want to have a child. Like, I got pregnant it was like a whirlwind romance kind of thing, and I think that's how it was meant to be, because I just didn't think I was going to have kids. And I found myself pregnant. I mean, it wasn't like I was a teenager. I was 32, but I was really depressed during my pregnancy. But my soul told me, and I went to a healer, and she said, you and this soul agreed to come together in this life. And that's what it felt like. She confirmed that, because I felt in my heart like I was supposed to be doing this, but my mind was freaking out.
Yeah.
because like, do I want to bring somebody into this world? I don't have it figured out yet. Like I suffered so much as a kid. But then when he was born, like I knew from my studying of my own self-healing as a chiropractor that we come born
Yeah.
clear. The life force is flowing through us. We are connected to God
Yeah.
until society dumbs us out. Our parents
Yeah.
tell us fears, our teachers tell us fears, the religious folk tell us fear, and we dim our light, dim our light, dim our light to conform to the society. And I knew at this point in my life that I knew stuff as a kid, but nobody allowed me to express it. I was
Yeah.
told I didn't know. Wait till when you're older, you'll see. Well, they were wrong. I'm not saying they didn't have bad intentions at all, but they didn't know. I knew more since I was a child than all of them. And so now I'm in the process of undoing all the damage from that, right?
Yeah.
So I had the wisdom to, and as a chiropractor, I had the courage too. I had my son, he was born at home. He had no vaccines. He was not circumcised. He was left without interference. And I also was very careful about how I spoke to him because I knew I could learn from him. He was in
Yeah.
his pure source state. So I'm like, I just want to acknowledge his flow. I'm going to learn from it. And it was easy for me. And maybe it's just not something I had to figure out in this lifetime. I did have the same healer tell me that him and I have no karma to figure out. We're here to live in a higher consciousness together. And that's what it's been. It's easy. He's like the best relationship I've ever had. So I don't understand when I hear parents struggle with their kids or they can't wait for them to go back to school, all this stuff, because I never had that.
Yeah.
It's been the first sign of me having this higher consciousness relationship. And I don't think everybody understands it. But my son is so clear. He follows his own intuition and his guidance. Because of that, he doesn't have the same struggles. He knows how to be with himself. He'll hear me talk about the struggles I'll have with my mom, and he looks at me and he's like,
What is
you
that?
tell me to do the opposite. Like, you tell me to do the opposite. Why are you not doing that for yourself?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I can't see it. Like you become part of that dynamic that you created, that false
Yeah.
sense of self that you created to survive growing up. And he doesn't have that. So he's been like my greatest teacher of how abundance, how we could all be if we were left to stay in tune with our own God source, our own mastery.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Oh, girl. Okay. So just hearing you say that and even watching you light up. You light up when you're speaking of your son. And that's a beautiful thing. I had it. I just want to say this. I had this guest on about a month ago. We were doing on healing beyond betrayal, and he was a teacher and a counselor for parenting preteens. I myself have a preteen right now, and so I know her personality. Her personality is a bit like mine, and so instead of me trying to confine her, I allow her to have her personality or who she is and grow, because I knew, like you said, how my light had been dimmed. And what I understood now, going through my self-love journey, going through my healing journey, is understanding that my parents, my grandparents, and my family around me, they were teaching me through fear. They were teaching me through fear, and they were leading me through fear. So love wasn't that first thing in front where we're supposed to lead by love. That wasn't what our family, our parents wasn't doing, because they were taught fear. They were taught fear first, and that's where they fear, and then love came after. And so when you said that, you're leading with love. And even the way that you speak. So when that beautiful person, little being, when he decides to come and connect with someone else, he's going to have a great lineage with him. Does that make sense? And it's like
Absolutely.
you broke the brokenness, at least from with him. So even though you have your its and your aunts and you're there, you recognize it and you let them know, I've been here for 50 years, baby. It's hard, but I'm getting you and preparing you now for what was taught to me wrong, not intentionally, because that's all they knew. But now I
Right.
know better. So mommy's going to give you the very best possible that I can. So I applaud you on that. And yeah, I'm excited for you, and either myself.
It's funny. There's something about this lineage stuff, and I've really been going through it this past year. I found a book called The Mother Wound, and it's
I have
honoring the inner mother. Have
Yeah,
you heard of it?
yes, I have it.
It's the key piece. I have done so much work on myself, and I figured out so much, right? But there was a part of me that still was in the drama, especially with supporting myself and money. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't get on my feet with it. I'm like, this is crazy. Why does this keep happening? And this book came into my life. I've been reading it consistently since December, just over and over, because every time I read a page, it takes my breath away. And I'm like, I've been carrying all this. And not many people have the courage to stop the mama drama, like the parent drama, right? Like the family drama, like, because it's so normal. We don't have the courage to stand up and be like, maybe being in this dynamic isn't healthy for me.
Yeah,
They're not bad people, but it's killing my soul.
yeah,
And my son recognized, he goes, you're the first person to break away from your family and do something different. And I'm like, I do. But it's not easy. Like,
yeah,
that's a whole nother set of healing that
yeah,
not many people want to talk about,
yeah,
because it's kind of taboo.
yeah, yeah,
And I realized I mean, maybe it was karma. I was working out with my mother. I know it's all divinely orchestrated. I know she's serving a role, who she is. I don't even want to change her. I need to honor my soul's path. I
yeah,
can't deny it at this point, and it wants to be free.
yeah. Mm, mm, I'm sorry. I'm just like, yeah, this is
I know, like, you're tapping in. I'm really emotional right now. Like, you're really
yeah,
tapping into some stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's so funny that I really wasn't unsure on how um this interview was going to go. I have a list of questions and stuff like that, to kind of guide and lead me. And I'm looking at my screen right now, and it's like, I really can't really ask these questions right here, because like you said, we're tapping into something that's more real. And especially we're talking about the act of balancing life. You know what I mean? And even though these questions all have to do with you and everything like that, I love that you are tapping into your authentic self and you're able to share your story. Um, that you truly are able to share your story. Not only that, you being parented, but also you being parented, because I have a lot of parents that listen. A lot of parents that have, little boys, single mothers or single fathers, widowers, and all of that need to understand that balancing, it does come for you, but also it's good that you use that to be able to teach your children as well, or show them as well, from that. A lot of times we don't understand, even when we're going through the process of doing self-love and self-healing process,
Can I tell you
how do
something?
we have the conversation with our little ones on how to go about with self-love?
Can I tell you something that it's coming to me right now that's very powerful? I had about 3 years into my practice, I had an awakening state. That's what I called my grace state. That I realized, oh, we are God. We are source. Like, there is no disease. We're creating this. We can be everything. And I
Mm,
went, and there was no words that I could put to it at a time, but I just went into this higher vibrational state where I just felt in love with life. It's like when you fall in love with somebody and you can't wait to be with them. Well, there was no other person. I was just in love with life. And it lasted about 18 months.
mm,
And that really took my growth to a next level, because now when I came into challenges, it wasn't from so much fear as, oh, I know the grace state's there. This is just me going through another releasing or a soul healing or a lesson or something for my evolution. Before, it would be more, you're still in a fear, because I had answers to things, but I was still in the search, because I think we're all in the search for that bliss
yeah,
state, right?
yeah,
That's why we drink. That's why we look for the next relationship. That's why we do things we don't think we should be doing. All these
mm,
addictions that we have,
mhm,
even goal setting, right? Because we're looking for that bliss state. That's our natural state. But society has dumbed us down to a fear state. I think humanity is coming back to this higher consciousness state, and we're learning to live from this place. But once I had my son, I realized he was the grace state, because that's how we come in, right? So I could just see a mother and her little boy. It wasn't not my son. I would just be passing other mothers with their sons, and I could break down weeping, crying, because I can't explain to you. The love was so intense. I'm like, this gift of these kids is so amazing. But what makes me sad is that so many parents are missing this point.
Yes.
Just learn who your child is. Don't put your crap on them. Take the time to learn who this beautiful soul is. They're powerful. They're here to teach you. We have it backwards. We're not here to teach them. We're here to learn from them. And it's a magical, they are in a pure state. Let them express it, because if you can bask in that love, that is the God source. That is the grace state. And so many people are missing it with their kids. They're hurrying them. They're not listening to them. They can't wait to get away from them. They have agendas for them. They think they should be doing all this stuff. They're missing it. And I'm just so grateful that I got to embrace every stage with my son, because I had that awakening before I had him. So if that's one advice I can give, like, learn who your child is. Listen to what they're saying to you. Listen to what speaks to their heart, what inspires them, their passion, because that's going to ignite you as well. That is the God state.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, so let's just ask a few questions on your chiropractor. I know I'm having a good time here. I really am. I'm having a good time. When you realize, that, okay, it's time for me to really get into being the self-healing of my own self, with my body, and you going into chiropractor and going into that studies from there. For you, and I'm trying to make sure that I got the right question with this. For you, what part of your healing did you feel that you needed to start to heal first with chiropractor that will help with that? Does that make sense? I hope I'm saying that.
I think it started with just a base physical pain, because I would get into these states where I couldn't sit, stand, walk, lay. Like my legs would give out. I'd fall in the shower.
Mhm.
It was scary. I felt out of control. So it's like I just had to get stable. And when I started getting adjusted, the pain got worse at first. I believe it started releasing the trauma from the surgeries in my spine, all the fear, all those years of buildup. I was really, really shut down. I don't think I was even connected to my body. I just wanted to be out of this world. I was hanging on by a thread, emotionally, physically. So it started with me getting reconnected with my body. It was in so much pain. So once it was probably a year and a half, once that stabled out, then I started noticing, oh, why am I getting a headache? I'm really stressed about this, working on this project for school. Why did my lower back go out? Oh, my chiropractor is graduating. He was like a senior student. He's leaving. He's the one who really helped me. Like, I always feel better usually when I see him. Well, my back went out. It was the last time I was seeing him. And I was scared. I'm like, who's going to be my chiropractor now? And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's like the foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered Louise Hay, her book. I don't know if I saw that in school, but there was that. I don't know. I started reading. I never read before, but then I started reading because I was looking for answers. But Louise Hay, it has the power. You can heal your body.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she has the emotional component that goes to the bodily symptom, and like an affirmation. You like the fear thought, and then she'll give you an affirmation. It's always right on. Like, I have that little chart. It's so powerful. But so once I connected the emotions behind the symptoms, but first it was very physical first. Then it became more energetic. Then I realized I didn't need the cracking sound of the adjustment like I did before.
Yeah.
I was getting more in, like, I need a light touch.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I was more in my body. I was more sensitive. I was more open. So you kind of have to, maybe somebody might start out in their journey. They're not as shut down as I was.
Yeah.
So that was the process for me.
Okay, this is because we're gonna wrap. This is the next question for you. for my listeners that are seeking to start their self-love journey, their self-healing journey, where do you suggest they begin?
Well, I think you have to really analyze what you want in your life, where you are in life, and what are you living your dream life? Are you living your desired life? And I think the greatest place is to just take pen to paper and journal. I know everybody wants to write on their phone, but I think there is something healing about pen to paper.
Yeah.
I'm old school, I know, but I do think there is a dynamic that helps connect the brain a little bit to your, your heart and brain and things like that, and the creativity. And just write out ideas like, am I living my ideal life? If I'm not, what would I change? And be really honest, because I think a lot of people will say, well, I don't know what I want. I think they're afraid to admit what they want because they don't think it's possible. Well, I'm going to tell you anything's possible if you can open up to the idea of it. So that's why just write it down. Even if it seems outrageous, write it down. Write down inspiration, ideas. You could even start with just writing down things that you're grateful for every day, because that starts the process too, because it reorients you to look, instead of the problems, it makes you look at the solutions and inspiration and idea and the possibilities, right? So it's the journaling. And I think then you start to open yourself up to next steps.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. So before we end this, is there anything else you want to share? Do you have a book, courses? What can they find you at? All of those good things.
Yeah. So I have a book. It's called My Journey to Grace. And it's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, but I also have a website, creatingmydesiredlife.com. You can email me a question. You can get on my mailing list. You can find my book there. So that's pretty much it.
That's good. Let me step back for it. Let me walk back. Your book. Just give us a small little description on what we can look forward to when purchasing.
Yeah, it's my journey to grace. So it's me going through all those hardships of my childhood to the time where I finally found grace, and then having my son, and really just looking for solutions and steps to live outside of the mainstream matrix that wasn't working for me. So finding a blueprint to life that allows you to be who you are and not what society tells you should be.
Right. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, thank you, Dr. Lynn, for just sharing such insightful advice. Listeners, remember that healing is a journey and not a destination. We encourage you to take what resonates from our conversation today and apply it to your path of self-love and empowerment. And we hope that you found today's episode enlightening. And don't forget to check out Dr. Lynn's resources in her book, Unbreakable. We've got to talk about Unbreakable, available on our website. Thank you, Dr. Lynn, for joining us. And thank you to our listeners tuning into our next season of Self-Love Journey. Remember, love yourself, love your journey. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.